Hello, everyone, and welcome to New Consciousness Review. I'm Miriam Knight, and our guest today is Annie Kagan. She is the author of The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, How My Bad Boy Brother Proved to Me There's Life After Death. If that doesn't intrigue you, nothing will. Now, Annie is neither a medium nor a psychic, and she did not die and come back to life. In fact, she was awakened by her dead brother. She thought perhaps she had gone a little crazy, understandably, and she shares her extraordinary story in this book that we're going to discuss today. I think this is probably one of the most detailed and profound after-death communications I've ever read. Her book goes beyond the usual near-death experience and answers some of the most amazing and elusive questions about what happens after we die. So, Annie, I'm delighted to welcome you to the show.
Oh, and Miriam, I'm delighted to be here.
Annie, I understand you were a successful chiropractic physician in New York City, but you actually left your practice to go and live on the shore just before your brother died. Tell us a little about yourself and what was going on with you at that time.
Yes, I had quite the New York City life. I had a successful chiropractic practice. And after several years, because I was such a devoted doctor, very devoted to my patients, after a while, I began to find it very stressful working with people who were in pain. So I decided to begin a meditation practice to remedy that. And a strange side effect of my meditation was that I became hypersensitive. And now going to work, instead of it being easier, it actually became more difficult. At the same time, my city life became difficult, the noise and the pace. So without thinking too much about it, because I think if I would have been afraid if I thought about it a lot, I sold my practice. I found a very small old house by the bay, and all I wanted was solitude and quiet and meditation. And I had no idea at that moment that my life was setting the stage for a new adventure to come, which was the adventure I had with my brother.
Now, your brother, who you can describe in a minute, died and started appearing to you. Do you think that the meditation practice that you instituted and this hypersensitivity that you described sort of opened the door for him to be able to contact you?
No question about it. I also think if I had still been living in the city, I also wouldn't have been able to hear him. But the meditation that I did, I was very surprised because it was just a chance meeting that I started to meditate, and the meditation took me over, and I began meditating 3 hours a day. This was not anything I ever had planned for my life. And I got very quiet, and I feel that quiet enabled me to be able to hear my brother speaking to me. Otherwise, I don't think it would have happened.
It's kind of like clearing the static from the radio transmission and really tuning into to a station. So tell us a little bit about this bad boy brother of yours, Billy.
Yes. Well, ever since I was a little girl, Billy was seen as the bad boy. I was the good girl, and he was the bad boy, because he always had problems with drugs and alcohol for as long as I could remember. But also, I mean it in kind of tongue-in-cheek way in the title, because to me, Billy was always a very glamorous figure. He lived life the way he wanted. He broke the rules, and he really enjoyed himself. Any woman who's kind of been in love with a bad boy will know what I'm talking about. And interestingly, from the other side, in a way, he's still a bad boy. He's still breaking the rules. He's still telling me things in a very unusual way, like deep spiritual truths in his bad boy way. So that's what I mean by bad boy.
So he died quite suddenly, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Although, you know, his addictions towards the end of his life were very tragic, and I knew he wasn't headed in a good direction. So yes, it was very sudden. He was hit by a car as he was running across a highway in the middle of the night. And yes, it was very, very unexpected.
And I wonder if he mentioned whether this kind of sudden death predisposed him to being able to communicate with you or needing to communicate with you.
Actually, no. I actually think that this was our destiny. And also in the book, there's a certain point where the book is a bit of a thriller. So Billy takes me on a kind of cosmic journey as a detective to try to figure out what's going on. And at one point, I find his old journals. And in his journals, he says that he over and over that he wants to write a book, that he wants to write a book to help humanity, that he wants to write a spiritual book. And how amazing that he's done this after he died. So I think there was definitely destiny involved in this.
Wow. So now let's launch into it. How did he first contact you after his death?
Well, of course, I was extremely grief-stricken, could barely function, and it was sunrise, and it was my birthday. And as I was half awake, I heard him calling my name from above me. Annie, it's me, it's Billy, get up. And at first I thought I was dreaming. And I said, Billy, you're dead. You can't be here. And then he told me to go get a notebook. And then I knew I was awake because here I was now out of bed getting a notebook. And he began describing how he went up a beautiful, beautiful chamber of silvery lights, and how the moment the lights touched him, they had healed all the pain that he had suffered during his lifetime, mental, physical, emotional, and now he was drifting through a beautiful divine universe with higher beings, invisible higher beings attending to him. And he assured me that death was wonderful, couldn't be better, as he would say in his bad boy way, couldn't be better really, and that we will meet again.
Now, more often than not, when people have these kind of experiences, they think they're going a bit crazy. How did you get past that?
Well, one of the things is that when Billy talks to me, the euphoria of his world flows into my world. So while he's actually communicating, I don't doubt it. But when he leaves, I'm thinking, wait a minute, this has to be my grief. This is crazy. I mean, how would you feel if all of a sudden your dead brother is talking to you, not in your head, but outside of your head? You could hear him clear as day, and you're writing it down, and then you look and you see these aren't your words. But I was extremely skeptical that maybe somehow I was trying to make myself feel better. But that didn't turn out to be the case.
Mm-hmm. And your perception of him was always auditory, or did you also see him?
Well, in the very beginning, it was auditory. I only heard him. Then, as he changed form, sometimes he would appear as a beautiful blue elliptical light in my room, and I would look at it and tune in, and then I could hear him. And then as he went deeper into the realms of the afterlife, I started to begin to hear him through my crown chakra. And then I was actually able to see glimpses of him and even glimpses of his world.
When you say see glimpses of his world, how did they appear to you?
It was always like a little flash. I never had a constant picture. It was like a flash of his world, of the realm he was in, of what he was describing. And the same with him, but sometimes he was formless, and then I didn't see him when he was going through a formless stage, because one of the wonderful things that I learned about the afterlife is that it's a place of constant transformation. And sometimes he would actually have a form, and then I was able to see him. And of course, in his bad boy way, he would tease me and make jokes while he was in that form.
Mm-hmm. Now, he obviously retained his identity no matter what form he appeared to you in. So, I think probably one of the greatest fears of death is that we lose our sense of identity. And here was Billy coming to you in a very clear and definite Billiness. How did you actually recognize or resonate with his Billiness, with his identity?
Well, there was absolutely no question that it was Billy. And people who know him, who read the book, his stepdaughter, she called me as soon as she read the book. She goes, "Oh my God, it's Billy. It's really Billy." Because he had such a distinct personality and such an individual, unique spirituality that there's no question that it's him. But I would say that that was one of the most surprising things, because if I had any concept of the afterlife, it would have been that we just go into a sea of bliss, a sea of everything and nothing. But that's not what happened.